Hi there, it's Martin and Nick, and today we're going to talk about number 13, Duddon Walk, which is an interesting property only really because it's a decent one and they have a weird pricing strategy for this. So just to preface, the way it works with different estate agents is that they will put properties to the market at different price points, depending on the game plan that they want to follow. So depending on the kind of property and what the seller wants to do, they might put the property to market at a low price and get a huge amount of interest, or alternatively, the seller says, I don't want too many people looking at my property, I just want to get the right price for it. So they price it high, they get much less viewer interest, and then whoever is really prepared to pay pays, and therefore there's less disruption. And then there's everything in between. And I suppose the other model is where you have a cool market and the property is just on sale for a reasonable price, and they intermittently get viewings and people show up, do whatever they do. And eventually the right buyer comes along and they offer the right price and off it goes. In this case, what they've decided to do is market the property at a really low price and get a huge amount of interest. And we know that it's low because Martin is very good on his valuations and he says it's low. What's the typical 160-ish, you said?
Around asking prices from 150 to 160.
Yeah.
So before we go to the capital growth, maybe I will show you the location. So maybe we can, because of that, we can judge the capital growth. Because for this location.
Sure. But anyway, just to finish, well, let's do the condition stuff and all that first, and then logically. So my main point is that this property has 16 offers, 16 offers. I did my usual in principle, not in principle, but if we offered X, would it be seriously considered? I asked if we offered 155, would that be seriously considered? And he said it might be. So really, I think we're looking at the 160 mark for this to be seriously considered. And therefore, the question for this assessment is it worth 160? And hopefully we'll find out. Well, Martin, you like it. So, but anyway, let's talk about.
On 160, it will give 6.4% of yield. So I really don't know why they asking only that. I just want to see if we have some structural issue or so. So yes. But the local opinion, it's ex-social house. So. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the very first.
Sorry. It's in the middle of the social houses, so maybe that's why it's cheaper. But let's check.
It needs quite a lot of renovation, but we'll talk about all that in a minute. So the very first thing is it's had a new roof. Yay! It's quite an old roof, new roof. So it's probably 15 to 20 years old. And the reason I know this is because these little marks here on the roof are moss. It is moss, and that's usually a sign that the roof's been around a while. And you can see here that this front yard is a bit of a wreck. The fence is a bit of a wreck. So overall, it tells me that this property had its last major renovation maybe 20 years ago. The other thing to note, by the way, is the different colored mortar here above the window. So obviously, as you obviously see, there are no window lintels. So therefore, everything's kind of just held up by the bricks. There might be a steel lintel behind, in fact, because it would be a cavity wall. Maybe that's exactly what's going on. In fact, thinking about it, there would be a T-shaped bar or an I-bar, steel behind that, and then the bricks are in front of it. And anyway, it all looks okay. The rear is fine. The fascia board needs some work. The roof is obviously fine looking. Brickwork looks fine. Remember, these are low resolution estate agency pictures, so we're not really, it's difficult to really see what's going on. Another point of interest is this rear decking, which is looking a bit tired and either needs ripping up and redoing or replacing or somehow repairing. I'm not sure which. And the fireplace is one of these. It's not really a fireplace. It's more like a fire effect place. But anyway, the laminate looks fine, and it's got this edging, which you have for laminate, but no skirting board. Now, this is also very interesting. You may not be able to see it if you're looking on a mobile phone, but see the switches. They're quite high up off the ground. Now, if the switches are low on the ground, it means it's probably old wiring. But building regulations stipulated, I think around 20 years ago, that the electric points had to be a certain distance above the ground, basically like 300 millimeters above the ground or whatever. That tells me new wiring, which is a good thing. So far, the vital signs in this property are actually very, very good. And this laminate flooring looks good as well. The reason I think it's decent flooring is because it's got a chamfered edge. How do I know? Because I see a bit of a shadow there. And the cheapest flooring doesn't have that chamfer, so it just kind of butts up against each other. So this is basically not premium, but it's basically good, good flooring. And we've got some reasonably good double glazing.
Yep.
We can see here it all looks very nice. Ceilings are a bit so-so. Now they'll be fine. That'll be plasterboard because it's probably a 1950s or 60s house. Yeah, and plasterboard became a thing back then. So this is also good. Again, the vital signs in this property are excellent so far. Now, the other thing is that this is classic 1980s-1990s door. And this was a new technology back then. And essentially, it's a plastic shell which has corrugated paper inside, and it's kind of squidged together. Very lightweight, but actually quite good. Now, the other thing to say about this is whenever you have new doors throughout, it just means that when the renovation was done, they really went all in on this. Now here we've got a modernized kitchen from what I can see, and it's passable. And I suspect that that's vinyl flooring, not slate, because slate is a lot of hassle as it happens, and it's like, why would you need it? And here we've got the cooker with the gap here. I'm not sure. That looks to me like it was a cooker unit, an oven unit for a fitted double height unit, but they have the void.
I will just try the boiler in the kitchen.
Yeah, the boiler is old, but the rule of thumb with boilers are if they work, then they're not broken. I.e. service them, and if they're not fundamentally broken, leave it.
Can you say something about, because in the EPC they said it's good boiler, so, and the EPC for this property is C and 71 score, which is amazing.
It is amazing. Just a few little detail things here. Very ugly strip lighting, but it's functional, and you got this extractor fan, which is old, and this kitchen. This sink here, for example, is pretty old, but the laminate's in good condition. So overall, that kitchen could stay. And we've got some textured wallpaper. It's fine. There's nothing much to say here. That looks like actual tiles. Fine. And then we have a reasonably sizable area here and quite a lot of redundant space, in fact, and that looks like the gas meter under the stairs. Stairs looks okay. It all looks okay so far. Now, this is an unusual sink. I think it might have been retrofitted, but it looks like it's been around a while. And the reason I say that is because the silicone is discolored. And you've got a decent shower, and you've got what looks like the actual brick. I'm just not sure if it is the brick. We'll find out shortly when we look at the Vibra stuff. Same pressed panel doors. Lavatory, probably 25 years old. And same story here. So it needs general painting and decorating, but the fundamentals are actually very good. You got this going on. This doesn't concern me, I must say. What?
I will change carpets, the red one, for example.
Yeah. neutralize that and give it a good paint decorate and do the ceiling as well. There may have been water ingress, but I suspect it's just simply staining due to age, I suspect. Overall, you can see that across the whole property, it just needs a brightening up. And here we have an interesting setup. So assume that that's storage underneath and you've got this fitted bed here. And this must be the outhouse. Now this is quite interesting. That looks to me like concrete. So that's possibly a good thing. And that would be this outhouse here with the concrete slab roof, presumably. So that's fine. It's the kind of place that could benefit from an extension. We'll have a look in a minute. And here we have upstairs 3 reasonably sized bedrooms.
Yep.
Now, this is just to point out, in fact, quite important to say. You can see on this here, you've got this box. Now, what this means is that in order for you to have decent head height on the stairs going up, they had to box this area out. And the reason you've got this elevated bed is very simple. There's a box behind here. So this is double width bed. It's a double bed here, and there's a box section underneath here, which means that you either have a bed running across or you have Martin, could you take over whilst I deal with this call?
Yeah. So I will speak first about location. So basically, first I will go with EPC. When the EPC see for a property, that means this property must be good, especially for the older house, because this is built between 50 and 66, and it's 82 meters squares, which is nice for terrace house. In EPC, basically, what they said that you can improve is the insulation on the roof and also like floor insulation, but I will not bother with that. Anyway, your properties, it have like not all the roof, and also it doesn't need more insulation because it already have 100 millimeters. So yeah, so I will go for because I was speaking about social house. So all this part here, you can see it's this is social house. This is like a buildings with apartments, which are social house, and also a lot of these properties here are social house. So like these 2 houses are social house. This one is social house. Here 3 are. This is social house. Some of these properties also. This house is also social house. So, but you can see all of these are not social house. This not social house. This is not social house, which is our property. This is not social house. All of this. So a lot of property becoming social house, which is really nice. We will speak about it later. And I will want to show you about the location. I really like the location just because when you zoom out first, it's not far away from the Manchester. And if you go by transport, it's around, no, it's not 70, it's like 29 minutes, so which is really good. So, yep. And also you're really close to Middleton. And you can go by just to here, central Middleton. By transport, it's 30 minutes, yes. 24 minutes by walking, but if you want to go in here in Aldi, it's 15 minutes. So it depends where you want to go. When you zoom out a little bit here, you will see that we have a lot of new builds, a lot of new builds here. So this whole area.
I don't think you're sharing your screen.
No, but I'm sharing.
Is it sharing?
Part. Yeah.
Okay.
So
it just doesn't show here, so it may not be sharing.
Okay, so I will share again. So, can you see now?
No, I'll just try a different view.
I will stop sharing. I will share it again.
Thanks.
Can you see yourself?
No.
But for me, it's showing.
Is it? Okay, I don't know. Okay, so when I did share screen, you saw my screen, yeah?
Yes.
don't know. Okay, what I suggest is we're going to pause, we're going to redo the call, we're going to come back for part 2.
Okay.